1.
So, welcome to a brand new year of Basic Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington. Our Saturday Sampler rules are simple. You pay $10 for your first kit. Pick up your kit on the third Saturday of every month and complete your block at home. If you bring in the current month's block complete by the designated due date, you will receive a free kit. Otherwise, you'll pay $10. And no patterns will be given out without a purchased kit, and they will come with your free kit, of course. So feel free to make fabric substitutions, but the complete block must be like the store's block. And also, very important, there's a complete list of important dates on the last page of your January instructions. So let's take a look at the fabrics that we'll be using for basic for January of this year. We are working with the Wilmington prints. We have what's called a crisscross print in nice hot colors, and we have the very cool colors, and these are the watercolors. I will be able to get these throughout the year, so they will be available. But the really fun one that I want to introduce to you is by Quilting Treasures. This print is an ombre, meaning it goes from dark up to the fold and then down to light. So we'll get a nice, beautiful variation of the light and dark blues throughout the year. So here's the block. Very simple, basic to start. We're working with a 4-patch. We have pinwheels and obviously a nice 4-patch to choose from, but when it's time to put our 12-inch block together, it's going to be very simple to do. I have put a 4-inch border all the way around my 12-inch, and your kit only includes the fabrics for this 12-inch block in the center. But you can purchase, and I will give you a pattern for the suggested border. And we have those here at Close to Home in Southington. So the cutting for this 12-inch block from your kit, you'll be getting a large section of white. You're going to cut it 3.5 inches, 2 strips by length of fabric. That's what LOF means, length of fabric, so whatever that we give you. The blue multi, which is in our pinwheels, is also cut 3.5 by the width of the strip that we give you. And both the orange and the red are the same size. They also will be cut 3.5 by the length of fabric. Okay, so let's get rolling here. My white is longer. I'm going to recommend a couple rulers. The ruler we're going to be using today is the Creative Grid Folded Corner Clipper. And we're finishing our blocks at a 3-inch finished squares. So we're going to be looking to cut our fabric at 3.5, and I will show you exactly the lines in which the bottom of the strips and the top of the strips will go. But note that you can make half square triangles anywhere from a 1-inch finished all the way to 5-inch finished. And what I'm going to do is cut my fabric and we'll get rolling here. So I'm just going to fold this, and I'm going to use, you can use either a 8.5 by 12.5, or I recommend even a 6.5 by 12.5. Works really, really well for this block. Okay. So when I fold my kit fabric, I want to make sure that one of the lines going across my ruler is equal or right on the fold line of my fabric. That's going to make sure that my strips are going to open up right on that fold and not at an angle. So I'll go ahead and cut those. Oh, like butter. So I'm going to need 2 strips, the length of this fabric, at 3.5. Okay. So here's my half, 1, 2, and 3. And you'll notice here's the 3.5 mark on my ruler. right down here, looking at me, not upside down. It's not 5. It's looking right at me at 3.5. 3.5. So I'll go ahead and cut this strip and cut one more strip because I need 2. Okay. The blue also gets cut into a 3.5-inch strip, so I'm going to do the same thing. I folded my fabric in half. I'm going to place one of these lines going across my ruler on the fold, and I'm just going to take a very small, I can move it down a little bit, just a very small section of that strip off, just enough to even it up a little bit, get a nice straight edge. I'll turn my strip around, look for my 3.5-inch marks, and place them on the cut edge. Okay. And then while I'm cutting, I can cut both my red and orange together. I'll put those nice and close together. There's no fold, so it doesn't really matter. I can do whatever I want. Take off a nice little strip to straighten my edge. Turn it around because I'm right-handed. Place it on my 3.5. And if you're left-handed, you're just going to do the exact same thing, just on the other side. All right, we are ready to make our square and our 4 patches with these fabrics, but I want to show you the folded corner clipper. So we're going to place our nice blue multi right sides together with the white. So on the white, you can tell it's a little bit painted on one side where the other side's a little bit dull. So keep an eye on the right side of the fabric, and we're going to put those right sides together. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do with my folded corner clipper is place the blunt edge up at the top of my 3.5-inch strip. The bottom of my strip rides right along the 3.5-inch mark. So I'll go ahead and line that up and line this up, and I do need to trim this one just the first time. Okay, so I'll trim that one, and I will get a pair of half-square triangles. Okay, so now that I have that angle finished, what I'm going to do is turn my ruler 180 degrees, place the blunt edge at the bottom of my 3.5-inch strip and the 3.5 marking along the top of my strip. And we're going to cut these until we get 8. Take these over to the sewing machine, and we will sew our triangles along the long line. Okay. You're not going to have very much left at the end, so just don't trim off too much. No, I have to get 2 more. All right. And this is what we have left. All right, so these I'm going to take over and sew. But while I'm over here, I might as well show you the 4 patch. So this is how I make my 4 patches. They come out pretty quick this way. I have the right side of my fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the orange in one section and the red in another section. And I'm going to sew 1/4 inch all the way down and press this at one time. Then we're going to cut them into rectangles. So we have this ready to roll. We have a couple of our half square triangles, so I can show you a pinwheel. right. So let's sew. And when I'm sewing these triangles, I do like to start, this is a 90-degree angle right here up at this corner, so I like to start in the corner and sew my 1/4 of an inch down to the point, down to the 45 degree. All right, and I line that right up with my machine. Also, very important that every month that you pick up your kit, that you spray Mary Ellen's Best Pressed. It's a starch and a sizing together, and it crisps up your fabric to really help them slide under the foot and not to be pushed down into the stitch area. So hopefully nice and straight. Hold that point all the way to the very, very end. Get that in there. And one more for my pinwheel. I need a total of 4 for each pinwheel. Alright, and the next thing I want to do is sew my 1/4 of an inch orange and my 1/4 of an inch red together. Make sure those raw edges are right on top of each other. Okay, so we're going to take this to the iron, and we're going to press our half square triangles to the blue multi, and we're going to press our 4-patch orange and red to the orange and red, to the dark sides, away from the whites. So when I'm pressing my fabric away from the white, it's the color on top. So I just lift this nice and gentle, and I just push away and give it a little bit of heat. I kind of hold it up, kind of open the seam a little bit. It's not necessary, but I like to just kind of hold this up, push down on my iron, and kind of hold up on the piece and push it away. It gives a nice, even, crisp seam right there, okay? I'm going to take this back to I'm just going to throw this on the cutting mat for a sec. And now my triangles, if I'm pressing toward the multi-blue is on top. Put my iron on the triangle, lift gently, and push toward the blue. Get another one, and I just hold it for a count of maybe 4 or 5 seconds, depends on your iron. Now again, you would have 8 of these. You need 4 for each pinwheel. Okay. All right, so we're going to sew these, and we're going to cut our 4 patches. So I'll cut, and then we'll just go sew everything. All right, so we're going to take our nice straight ruler, and we're going to place one of these lines, once again, just like we did for the fold, right on our seam. So this line I'm going to choose, and I'm just going to put it right on the red, between the red and the white, and I'm going to just trim a nice straight line. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to cut two 3.5 inch sections out of the red. So once again, I'm looking for my 3.5 facing me, because I work with the 1/2 inch on this side, because the rectangle that I'm cutting is a 1/2 inch, 3.5. So I look at it twice, line up my seam, go ahead and cut, and I'll cut one more. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the orange. Place my any line on the ruler between the orange and the white. See, I got a little bit here, a lot there. All I'm doing is giving myself a nice 90-degree corner, a nice straight edge to my seam. Okay, we're going to turn it. Place my 3.5 inch mark right along my freshly cut line. Always keeping a line between the orange and the white, and another line going straight down that fresh cut. Okay. All right, so I'll take these over to the sewing machine and make a 4 patch. Now these are laid out in a very specific order for the pinwheel. So we're going to place, well, to me, you watch your directions, but in my area, I'm going to go from this side and place one here. They're all going to be like that. So you're going to make 4 of these units with the blue triangle that way and this way. Every single one of these is going to be the same, and you should have 4 of them. So this gets sewn to here. And when I get to this, I have 2 seams, one on top of the other. Because I pressed this one to the blue and this one to the blue, this corner, these seams should really lock into place all the way across my half square triangle. I can feel it nesting right nice and close together right here without a gap. So now when I sew this down, I'm going to have a nice intersection here where I won't cut off my point when I join it. So let's go over to the sewing machine. Of course it feel that point. And one more. Hold on a sec. So this corner goes up here, and I can feel right there. It snaps right into location. Also helps, the best press really firms up your fabric, so it makes a nice connection. So I mean, you can go red to red, but in my directions, I have you do an orange to a red, just to, I don't know, make it interesting, I guess. So we're going to sew the orange to the red, and again I have the seam pressed toward the red and the seam pressed toward the orange, so you should be able to just feel those locking right next to each other, so you have a really nice intersection. And then we'll take this corner should be the same as this corner. So we'll take those over and sew a 4 patch. Let's make sure this is locked. Yeah, nice and if you'd like to pin, please pin. It's quite all right. And again, the orange opposite the red. I'll get this one started up here in the corner. And lock that in. to do to these is press these seams open, and I'll do that very quickly. So I'll hold them face down, right side down, and I'll go right into the corner, like right into the 4-patch center. And you should have a nice orange red. These should be connected right there at the point. You should have 1/4-inch seams going on both sides, and we'll just give it some heat. These half square triangles are going to be pressed toward the blue. So when I open this up, I have one side that's completely blue on one side, so we're going to press toward the blue. Okay? And again on this one, press toward the blue. And this one open. You know, it would look good if you had a corner that was red, red, orange, orange. That would look fine too. Or if you wanted to put the 2 reds in the center, that's fine. Or you want to substitute and put in some of that blue watercolor, that would be fine as well. It's your block. All right, now let's match the pinwheel. These are done. These are our 4 patches. Nice and little intersections right there. But the pinwheels are a little bit trickier. When we put the pinwheels together, we have a 1/4-inch seam right where this V is, and a 1/4-inch seam right where that V is. And I know I pressed this way and this way, so these seams should lock into place. So I just feel for it, match this side. You could stick a pin through the point of this one, which I don't have a pin, I apologize, through the point of that intersection so it comes out right here, and then you can poke a little pin into here, and that would hold the 2 points together. And just remove the pin as you get to it. Don't sew over the pins. Okay, I'm going to get that started. I'm going to lock my intersection. Without a pin. I don't know. Pretty close. Close enough for government work. That's a good. So what I like to do to this one, again, is press it open. You can cut the little dog ears off if you want. But again, 1/4-inch seam allowances. Shouldn't go in and out or in and out. And the centers should be matched blue to blue, right like that. Okay, so I'll press that. And then we just have to put our block together like a 4-patch. It's pretty simple. We're going to sew our pinwheel to our 4-patch and our 4-patch to our pinwheel. And we can press one way and press the other way. Okay. And then when we put them together, we want to make sure we match our seam here as well, just like the other one. All right. So there's that one, which will probably fall down. And we got some 4 patches going on here. That would make a nice border too. Make little 4-patch, 4-inch borders. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.